The stack, part 6 for better core and breathing. We just talked about the rib cage. Now let's talk about the pelvis, starting with your pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor is the bottom, the floor of your core. So improving that brings huge potential. Let's start in this position, but we are going to put a block or a ball between your knees and squeeze it. That is going to bring in your adductors, which are part of your deep front line, pelvic floor, anterior abdominal wall, even your deep neck flexors. Try to get yourself nice and stacked, ribcage and pelvis, and let's see how you do. Remembering when you breathe in, diaphragm descends, it's going to send pressure into your pelvic floor around your entire core, 360 degrees around, and you should see expansion. When you breathe out, think about breathing out from the bottom up. Squeeze here, pelvic floor, that's your Kegel, and then your abdominals, trying to bring those ribs into a better zone of apposition. Then bring in your test, see if you get better expansion all the way around here. Do you get better back body expansion? And is it easier to keep your neck out of it? You can also play with this, add in that reach with a weight to get those ribs in a better position. You can even add in the tubing to try and get better back body and lateral expansion. You can even bring the knees up. You could put your feet on a wall and see if you can find a nice connection. This is a follow-up to my last post, part 6 of the stack, where we brought in the block between the knees to really bring focus to what's happening at the pelvic floor. So, a couple of clinical pearls. I love any setup where we have something between the knees and we're focusing on breathing from the bottom up. For anybody who has that hourglass pathology, which is over gripping of the upper abdominals, rectus usually, external oblique, and they have such a hard time getting lateral and back body expansion. Leave the rib cage, go to the pelvis and get that attention to the pelvic floor. And as you breathe out from the bottom up, then at the last minute, add a little bit of abs, bringing those ribs down. That may be a better way in. Clinical pearl number 2. Commonly with pelvic floor, we see a lot of butt gripping on one side or both. Concurrently, we tend to see lack of control often at the front, and we need to close in more there. So when you are breathing out, really try to think more about that Kegel, stopping the flow of urine for girls, lifting the testicles for the boys, and get that closure in the front. When you breathe in, make sure you're getting that eccentric expansion at the back of the pelvic floor. So pelvic floor, we think of it like a clock. 12 o'clock at the front, 6 o'clock at the back, and we want balanced muscle function.